Hey everyone, I want to walk you through some basic steps or basic things about Twitter. For those of you who already use the social network, you're probably going to know some of this stuff. Hopefully, you'll learn at least something new out of this, or at the very least, fine tune your personal usage right now, and maybe reshape the way you think about Twitter and the way you use Twitter. Not only for reflecting yourself and what you're interested in, but also, hopefully down the road, finding a job or putting yourself in the best light when it comes to potential employers or things like that. So one thing you'll notice, or one thing you hear about Twitter a lot, and I'll just use my own personal account here for an example, is that there's too much going on. That's one of the most common complaints about Twitter, and that's one of the reasons why many people have, or one of the reasons many people have attributed to Twitter's lack of growth over the past couple of years, is that people try it out. There's too much going on, and so they leave really quickly because they can't figure it out. So let's break down some of those things to avoid those headaches that might potentially fall upon new users. And let's really take a look at the basics and break it down to the nitty gritty to talk about what all this stuff is. So let's start first. Up here, and this is of course the web view. We'll see the mobile view here in just a second, but you've got your profile up there. So if you click on my username right there at Dale Blasingame, that'll take you to a bigger look at profile, which we'll look at here in just a second. You've got how many times you've tweeted, how many people you're following, how many followers you have. Down here is the trending topics. These are what people are talking about. I think I have mine set up nationally, but you can change that down to a local level or a global level. Whatever is interesting to you, you can go ahead and change those. Here's where you actually tweet. So in the what's happening box, that's where you would start to type things. You click on the little picture icon. You can upload a picture. Twitter's gotten really big into GIFs, as you know, over the past couple of years. So there's an automatic GIF button there now too, where you can search through Twitter's library of GIFs from there. Here are where the tweets come up. Now, Twitter is not one of the networks that has an algorithm, but it kind of has an algorithm, all right? So here's what I mean by that. Twitter, for the most part, still puts everything in reverse chronological order, meaning based on the people you follow, you're going to see tweets from the most recent down to the least recent. Now, Twitter is playing around with some minor algorithm changes. So when you see things like things you may have missed or tweets you might be interested in, those are not technically part of your timeline, but they're showing up in your timeline. You can hide those, and you can give Twitter feedback that you don't want to see those. But those are, those are kind of Twitter's entry into the algorithm world, and we'll be talking a lot about algorithms throughout the semester, trying to figure out what content you'll see and when you see it and why you see it. Up here, moments is Twitter's kind of greatest hits. So people can put together moments. Twitter can put together moments of big events. Notifications is what you would click to see if people are engaging with you or if people are following you, things like that. So that's where you would see that. And then messages is DMs. So direct messages between one or a group of people. Remember, they're supposed to be direct. They're supposed to be private between that one person and the other person, or that one person in the group. That doesn't always mean that's the case. But that is kind of the meaning behind those. Sure, there is a lot going on the screen, but really when you break it down, it's pretty simple to understand. And then the last thing that I want to point to is Twitter has a fantastic search option. Above all else, Twitter's strength, in my opinion, is its search function, which is great for advertisers. It's great for public relations firms. It's great for news people. It's great for all of us who are in mass comm, because we can truly find out what people are talking about. So we'll walk you through more as we continue on in the semester, but just know that Twitter has a very, very, very strong search function. Twitter upped its character limit to 280 characters. Again, as with most changes on social networks, people freak out at first and then you get used to it. I've personally enjoyed the 280 change. I didn't necessarily think I was going to enjoy it at first, but it does allow a little more breadth, a little more detail in your tweets, so that's been a good thing. So now let's look at our actual profiles, and again, I'll use Mine as an example. I'm not saying mine is perfect by any means, but I'll just use mine as an example. So some things to consider for those of you who are going to be joining Twitter for the first time, or if you're interested in making your profile better. One is your username. So I realize not everyone is capable of getting their full first and last name as their username. I'm pretty lucky that I have a fairly rare name, so mine was available back in 2009 when I joined Twitter. But try that. That should probably be your first option when it comes to picking a username. If not that, then maybe your first initial, first initial, middle initial, last name, or first name, last name, and last initial. Try some options with your real name to try and do that. I mean, Twitter is more than 10 years old now, so it's going to be hard to register names, especially when you think about brands coming on. Sometimes it gets a little tricky with that. So keep that in mind. Some things to watch out for when you're thinking about your username. Please, no sexual innuendo. That is not going to be a good look for you down the road. These will pop up in the first page of search results for your name, so keep that in mind. And you don't want Big Boy 69 or something like that popping up as one of the first things associated with you. Try to also avoid long strings of numbers. Numbers are just really hard to understand or get correct. So a couple things to keep in mind as you're trying to get your username down. From there, you have your profile, and you have 160 characters here. So here's my best advice for your profile. I would tell you, I think your profile should give people a reason to understand what it is you tweet about. So my profile on Twitter is very different from my profile on Instagram. So on Twitter, I write there that I teach at Texas State. I tweet a lot about not just classes, but also about Texas State in general. So I want people to know what it is and why I'm talking about that at all times. I have my news background there, which I tweet about the news industry quite a bit. I also do social media consulting for a marketing company that I helped found in San Antonio. So again, I tweet about a lot of social media topics. And then finally, I have my travel stuff there, which I tweet a ton about travel as well. So those are really, in a nutshell, the main things that I tweet about. And so I have my bio or my profile letting people know that that's what they can expect if they follow me. From there, you have your profile photo, which I would tell you, make it a photo that you're proud of. I'm not the best example here because I would tell you it should be one where you can see your face. This is kind of a faraway shot from me, but this is my favorite picture of Lucy and I, so I've had that as my profile for quite a while. You don't have to have a professional headshot as your photo, but it should be one where people can recognize you. You also have your cover photo, which is that photo that goes a long way across the screen. This, again, I think should be something that reflects you and what it is you tweet about. This happens to be one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. It was in Montana. So I've kind of had that as my profile photo for about 5 years, or my cover photo for about 5 years now. It's probably time to change it, but that's currently still what I have. When it comes to your location, couple things to keep in mind. One, put your actual city there. Don't put the 512, don't put San Marvelous, don't put SMTX or ATX. The reason I would caution you against that is because if you're truly trying to market yourself as a personal brand, using social media in a way to maybe help you get a job or at least show your creativity and what you're all about, people who are viewing your profile from the outside have no idea where that is. People in Austin or San Marcos might know that, but people in New York City or Los Angeles or anywhere else are going to have no idea. So help people out, learn about you by simply putting your actual real city in there. You do get one link in your Twitter profile, so make it count. I have mine going back to my personal site, and you all now will, or you will very soon, have a site. Your FDOM website will be created here in the next couple of weeks in labs. So you will have a link there. If you don't already have a link, you will have something worth putting there. I do want to quickly walk you through the mobile view because I do realize a lot of y'all will be using Twitter solely on mobile. A couple of things to keep in mind. Obviously, your view is going to be condensed, right? So here's my timeline. You can see it's down based on, the last tweets. You might see anywhere from 2 to 3 tweets in your timeline. If you click on the little magnifying glass at the bottom, you get the search functionality, which we talked about. It's kind of a combination of search and trending topics. So that's one difference with mobile. Your notifications is the little alarm bell at the bottom. So again, you have that. And then your profile, obviously same size, same look, just more condensed, as you would obviously expect with a mobile version of that. So some things to keep in mind as we continue to work on improving our social media skills throughout the semester and really throughout your career. I mean, it's a continuous thing that you have to stay on top of. One thing I will mention, Twitter does have a pretty in-depth help section. If you just do a Google search for Twitter help, you will find it. Lots of, rules, regulations, tips and tricks, things along those lines. If you're ever confused by anything, please look it up rather than just not knowing. One thing I really hope you will learn throughout your time in college is that, self-learning is often what's going to fuel a lot of your stuff. I'm sure we're going to cover a lot of stuff in classes, but I hope you're inspired to also go and learn on your own and figure these things out. So that's just a real quick primer on Twitter. Hopefully that helped answer a few questions or at least helps you sharpen up some things. And good luck with your assignment.